Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome. Thank you for checking out this video. My name is Linda, and I am currently living in the state of Texas. And this actually is my very first video. And I'm doing this because I had an absolutely profound experience with a 90-10 med bed. And I just felt like I needed to get online and share that with you. I actually began my medbed experience at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I started it early because I knew that it would last 8 hours, and I wanted to be fully conscious for the majority of that time. I really wanted to tune into the energy, tune into my body. I wanted to be able to ask questions. I wanted to make requests, and I didn't want to spend the majority of that 8 hours sleeping. I knew that I would have plenty of sleep once the session was over. So I went into that session by activating the med bed, and it's quite simple. You just say 90-10 med bed, and then you make the second request, which is 90-10 med bed scan. And after that second request, I just laid there and waited to see what I felt. And I didn't really feel anything. And so I thought, let's ask the quantum field to increase, to become more pronounced. So I just said, field, increase the energy. Let me feel it more clearly. And there was a definite change in the energy. I could feel it this time around. So then I said, increase it even more. And it was about that time that this huge wave of energy just came in and entered the bottoms of my feet, and it just made a whoosh all the way up to my head, and then it came back down into my feet where it settled and began to work with my feet. And the energy, it had a really dense feeling to it, almost as if somebody had put a down comforter on my body, and that comforter was just hugging my body very closely. And I could feel the energy more pronounced in my right foot, where I happen to have a hairline fracture. And actually the right foot began to tingle. It began to itch a little bit. There were even a few seconds where some little twangs of pain seemed to exit the foot and various parts of the feet, or of that foot, I should say. And the energy just after that started to ease up into my shins and my calves, and it continued to make its way up my body. And as it was doing that, I literally would go with the energy, and I would direct my comments and my requests to wherever that energy was. Let me give you an example of what I mean. When it got up to my heart area, it became even more dense and settled more firmly onto my chest. Not to the point of discomfort or anything, but to the point where it became very obvious. And I had my eyes closed, and I was just enjoying this sensation. And in my mind's eye, I saw like an ace bandage being wrapped around my chest. And I kind of chuckled, and I said out loud, well, what's that all about? And then as soon as I said that, in my mind's eye, I saw a heart pumping. I saw the valves of the heart, and I thought, oh, it's working on my heart murmur, and it's doing some repair work there. So I just got quiet and enjoyed the work being done on my body, and still continuing to think about that ace bandage being wrapped around my chest. And I kind of chuckled because I thought, well, that reminded me of a wall. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm wondering if I still have a heart wall. And so I asked that if I did have a heart wall, that heart wall over time, in a way that my body could assimilate the energies and process the emotions, please begin to release any stuck or trapped emotions that were in my heart area. And then I started focusing on other questions having to do with love, because that was what I was thinking of, as it was in that heart area. And I heard the word forgiveness come in very strongly. And I thought, interesting. So, quantum field, is there someone that I haven't let go of? And I think that I have. Or is there someone that I haven't forgiven, yet I think that I have? And because I haven't forgiven them and I haven't let go of them totally and completely, that is limiting me in some way. So I just said, who is that person? Who in this lifetime have I not come to completion with, come and had total resolution with? And about that time, the name of a old friend came in, somebody I no longer see. And I thought, okay, that makes perfect sense. So I was wondering how to address this area of unforgiveness and not being able to let go with this person. So I imagined there being a chair next to my med bed, and I invited this person in to have a heart-to-heart conversation with me. And so I saw her sitting there in the chair, and I just literally came from my heart and told her how I felt, what I had thought, especially after we parted ways. And I just asked that the energy of forgiveness and compassion be brought in and be downloaded not only into my body, but if she was willing, and in a way that honored her free will, if that energy could be downloaded into her as well. And I asked also that the energy of appreciation and respect and mutual understanding be brought in to the two of us as well. And I just sort of sat with those energies and just felt that there was anything else that I needed to ask for. And of course, there were some things that came up that I continued to share and to make remarks about. Just, the entire time tuning into my energy, tuning into her energy, until I really felt a nice shift take place. And I felt like we had reached a place of completion. And I thanked her for coming and participating in this conversation, and for hearing me out, and for being present in my life when she was, and for me to learn because of those lessons and those experiences that her and I shared. And then I just wished her many blessings and said goodbye. So that's just an example of how I focused on wherever the energy went. Another example was when the energy had reached my head, and I had several issues there that I wanted to address. I first started with my mouth area, and I just asked that the energy go in and find any fractures that I had in my teeth, and that those fractures be filled with golden creator substance so that they would heal and no longer be a possible future problem. And I asked that I be given stem cell injections in my gums to stimulate gum growth, because I had noticed that there were a few areas where my gums had begun to recede, and I wanted to stop that from happening. So I asked for stem cell injections to prevent that from happening. I asked if there was any infection, especially where I had my 2 root canals. I asked that the energy go in and neutralize and stop any infection and pull it and release it and send it into the light. As the energy left my mouth area and went into my forehead and my scalp, I addressed my concerns about hair loss that I had been experiencing over the past 15 years. And I asked that whatever the cause of that hair loss was, to go in and repair that. And I also asked that if there were any products or support or resources that I could use pertaining to hair loss, or to really any of the other issues that I had addressed with the body up to that point, that the universe send those support and resources into my awareness. And I also asked, besides the hair loss, I asked that my pineal gland be decalcified so that my intuition would become even more enhanced. And I asked that my third eye area be opened so that communication and my ability to hear source and talk with my higher self be enhanced. So that's another example of what I did when I felt the energies go to particular areas of my body. That took about 4 hours, actually. I did take a break after the second hour to go use a restroom and to get a big glass of water to keep myself hydrated. And then I stopped and took a break around 8 o'clock at night because I was hungry. I know my cats were hungry too. And so I took about a 50-minute break, went and fed everybody, went and enjoyed a cup of tea out on the patio and walked around the yard barefoot for a little bit. And then I came back in and I climbed back into bed and I made the commands 90-10 med bed, 90-10 med bed, scan my body. And I asked that the med bed remember all the previous work that we had done, and that if it was not finished with some of those issues that we had addressed, to please continue working with that, as well as to continue working with the new things that were going to be coming up. And so for the second part of the session, I did it very differently. I basically spent the next 2 hours just affirming and declaring and using statements, preferably that started with I am, since those 2 words are so powerful. And I just expressed what I was claiming for myself, what I wanted to see happen for myself. And I found that to be very powerful. It seemed as the energy really lightened up and became even more bright and more expansive as I was changing my focus and stepping more into statements of positive affirmations rather than the first part, which had been, talking about upgrading and healing and transmuting and addressing, issues that I was concerned about. So probably after the 7th hour, I fell asleep and I slept like a baby. And I woke up about an hour later than I normally do. And I had no need to set my alarm, so I didn't. And I very quickly, upon opening my eyes, noticed I just felt so rested, so rejuvenated, and so clear. my mind was just very clear. I felt very focused. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. And I had this sense of deep peace that just filled my entire body. I noticed that my jaw was so much more relaxed. I noticed the peace, especially in the bones of my body, in my spinal column in particular. Normally my spine feels very tight and tense. You know, even when I've gotten on the floor and done stretches, it'll still feel tight and tense. And even my spine felt relaxed, as did the surrounding muscles. I was excited to get out of bed and to start moving around and to see how my pain level felt. And I instantly noticed improvement in my left knee. You know, both of my knees, I've been experiencing arthritis in both knees and in my left hip for many, many years. And my left knee was the better of my two knees. And that pain was completely and totally gone. I was flabbergasted. I hadn't been pain-free in that knee for over 11 years. And even though there was still discomfort and pain in the right knee, it was considerably less. And for that, I was excited and very grateful. I also seemed to have improved stamina, increased energy over the next several days. My hand automatically went. I was curious to find out what the session had done in regards to my hernia. And so as I placed my hand over my hernia, which happens to be on my right pubic bone, I was amazed at how much more flat it appeared. It seemed to have diminished in size and was definitely flatter. And later that day, I had to pick up a 3-gallon bottle of water, and that whole area felt as if it had the muscles around it and the muscles over it, they seemed to be stronger. And my body, because of that, reacted very differently to the weight that I was picking up. And I just thought, how remarkable is that? So a lot of improvement in my physical body. Another thing too that I thought was uncanny and definitely had to have been a result of my bed experience was one of the requests that I had made during my session was to bring me products and resources that would continue the healing process. And as I was getting online and checking out my emails, I saw off to the side the words hair loss, and I thought, oh, this is this, I can't ignore this, especially after I asked for support and resources. I've got to check this out. So I went to this website and came across a very interesting article having to do with toxicity of the scalp after so many years of using products and, getting perms and coloring your hair and all the things that we tend to do to our hair, and how this toxicity level builds up, and it doesn't allow the scalp to breathe, and it doesn't allow new hair growth to penetrate that level of toxicity. And it was just a fascinating article, and I thought, well, I've got to get this product and see if this works. So I ordered that product. It hasn't come in yet, so I don't really know how effective it will be for me, but I do feel that I was guided to go to that site and check out that product, so I did. Another interesting thing that happened just a few minutes after that, and by this time I was fully into my emails, And let me just backtrack into my session of the night before. One of the requests that I had made had to do with pulling and releasing judgments, conclusions, and opinions and core beliefs that I had to do with lack and everything that was tied up, and keeping that as a current theme or pattern in my life. And I had an email from my host of my website notifying me that I had sold a bundle of sessions that I wasn't expecting from this particular client. And then to make the story even better, 3 days later, I sold another bundle to a new client. And I thought, well, how remarkable is that? You know, you release some core beliefs having to do with lack, and abundance starts flowing in. So I thought that was a wonderful validation, as was the first example of how profound and effective this quantum technology is. And then there was a third form of validation that came in later on that afternoon that had to do with another request. And if you remember, when I was talking about all the things that I had asked regarding not only my hair loss, but my pineal gland and my connection with Source and my higher self, and a friend had called and shared with me that she had watched a very fascinating presentation on ancient frequencies, Solfeggio frequencies. And she had said, Linda, I'm so excited about this one particular frequency, Hertz, that he was telling us about. And I said, well, what does it do, and what is the Hertz? And she told me, and she said, what it's known for is raising your vibration in the body, filling your body with the energy of Christ consciousness, the energy of unconditional love, so that your higher self can come in for longer periods of time and feel comfortable with that, and so that you can feel comfortable with that. And so I thought, well, I've got to find out what this Hertz is as far as the radionic frequency for it. So I actually looked it up in my manual, found the radionic frequency, and so I have been making applications and putting myself in the field with that frequency so that I can receive those energies of unconditional love and Christ consciousness and decalcification of the pineal gland and strengthening communication and connection with Source and with higher self. So I thought, how does it get any better than this? To be shown 3 really marvelous examples that had to do with issues that I had just asked for assistance with the night before. So folks, that is my MedBed experience and my very first video. I hope you have found it to be helpful and possibly have gotten some ideas as to what you could include in your first MedBed experience. And so I wish you many blessings and enjoy the rest of this glorious day. Bye-bye.